I want to call the November 7th, 2019 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting to order. Commissioner Castlen, would you lead us in a prayer and the pledge?
I will. Dear Heavenly Father, we pause for a moment and we thank you for the many blessings you bestowed upon us. We ask your guidance this evening. We ask you to send your Spirit to be with us and guide us in our deliberations, and bless all the citizens that have joined us this evening. We pray all these things in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. They'll have to come over here, Deputy, right on the other side. Yeah. Once again, I want to welcome everyone to our November 7th, 2019 Daviess County Fiscal Court meeting. It's unusual that we have this many people in the room. That's why we were watching out for the fire code so we can all get out safely. As you know, that's the way you go if something happens. So, and please help your neighbor or get out of the way. There are some who need more help than others. Jenny, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Item 1, consideration for presentation. A, Owensboro-Daviess County Regional Airport update by Executive Director Rob Barnett.
Rob, where are you at? Since the temperature is going up exponentially in here, you got about 4 minutes.
Got me a minute, didn't it?
Yes. And if you argue, it's going to be 3 minutes.
3 minutes? I'm used to that. Thank you all very much for the opportunity to come in and give you an update on the Owensboro-Daviess County Regional Airport. My name is Rob Barnett. I'm the Executive Director. I've had the occasion to meet most of you all here, and just thank you for the opportunity. And I've been here for about a year now and absolutely love it. We're making a lot of changes at the airport, doing a lot of positive things, and I've listed just a few projects for you all, a small review, if you will, on some of the infrastructure projects that we're currently working on with the Federal Aviation Administration. The main runway at Owensboro-Daviess County Regional Airport is 1836, so it's 180 degrees, 360 degrees off of true north, and that is the asset for the community as it relates to the airport. That's the primary runway. That's the runway that most of the aircraft use, especially the larger aircraft. So we have secured a grant to the tune of about $1 million for the resealing of all the joints on that runway and partial resurfacing some pieces of that runway to restore that asset for the future and to extend the life of that particular runway. Again, that's a Federal Aviation Administration grant. And then we also have a secondary runway, which most communities do not have. And that runway, also we received a federal grant to the tune of about $890,000. And it is also for some resurfacing and improvements on that pavement as well. We are working on improving our infrastructure and actually extending the life of the infrastructure. We have increased operations both on airline, on military, and on general aviation and civilian in the last 9 months. Our passenger count is up about 66% on Cape Air and Allegiant alone, so we're doing very well as it relates to serving our catchment area, if you will. We are also looking at other routes every day. We're looking at other routes to potentially expand our existing air service or new air service. So we recently, in participation with the economic development folks, we actually put together a ticket lift marketing study, which I have a copy for each of you all that will be delivered this week. And just like for you to take a look at it, look at what the area we're currently serving, and then look at how well we're doing in those performance numbers. I know Jacob with the Messenger run an excellent article on it the other day, and after multiple conversations with Jacob back there, he now is somewhat aviation acclimated and oriented. So we also have secured a grant through the Kentucky Department of Aviation for a new entrance sign. The entrance sign that we have is very old and antiquated, and if you've been out to the airport lately and you've noticed that we've cleaned the entire airport up with the help of Mark and the folks from the county as well with the new signage and then road improvements and curb improvements and all those things as well. But we will have a new entrance sign that's currently being constructed this week, actually, and hope for installation here in about 3 weeks. So just a brief update on Cape Air. Mid-January, we're going to start a new route to Nashville, Tennessee. You probably read about that in the paper as well. We will be providing 2 routes to Nashville and 1 to St. Louis, and it'll be on a brand new airplane. So my goal is to introduce a new route and a new airplane to the community all in one day, and then kick off the route the following day, hopefully. We will be connecting with Nashville, which will add another 80 some odd destinations, plus St. Louis as well, which is about 70 destinations. On the Allegiant Air flights that we have, Monday and Friday to Sanford, Florida, those numbers have been increasing steadily as well. And we're working consistently every day on exploring new routes and opportunities for Owensboro-Daviess County and the citizens to provide better access to Florida. So those are just some of the projects that we're working on, Judge. Am I under the time limit, or have you?
Way past.
I'm way past. So I would expect nothing less. Thank you all for the opportunity. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Rob, the new airplane that you're going to introduce, I know when Cape Air bid on this service, there was some talk that they were going to introduce electric airplanes.
They are in the future. Not this.
These aren't
airplane.
the rubber band airplane up.
Right, with the little rodents and the spinner wheel. Yeah.
Okay.
No, not this airplane. This airplane is a Tecnam 2012. Actually, it is a 9-seater. It has 5.5 inches more leg room than if you've flown Cape Air before. Italian leather. It's quieter. It's faster. It's more luggage space, and it'll reduce the flight time. For Nashville, will be about 47 minutes. St. Louis will be somewhere around an hour.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. Commissioners, any questions?
With this plane, will they still have to, I know in the past they've had to pay real close attention to the weight that they were carrying. Do they have to do that with this plane?
You will. Any 9-seat airplane like that, you will have 2 pilots on this airplane. There are better weight performance dimensions and specifications for this airplane. It has more horsepower, more baggage space. It's a high-wing airplane, so the engines are on top, which makes it a little more aerodynamically improved, I guess you will, compared to the Cessna 402. There will always be weight restrictions as it relates to those types of aircraft, yes.
Okay. And how many total flights will it be in and out of Owensboro?
21 a week. 21 a week. Two of those each day will be Nashville. The morning will be Nashville, middle of the day St. Louis, and the afternoon will be Nashville. Okay?
Thank you.
Do they have an agreement with any of the carriers down there to do that seamless transfer of baggage, and so you don't have to go through security again?
Absolutely. When we went through the process of selecting Cape Air, there were many of those measures they had to meet. They had to be interline branded with multiple carriers. So they are interline branded with a dozen carriers down there. The only one they're not.
Southwest.
That's right. The only one they're not interline with is with Southwest, and no one is interline with Southwest. So it should be a seamless transition, even if you choose to travel Southwest, and people do that out of Daviess County every day.
Right.
I mean, I did it not long ago because I had to get to Las Vegas for an Allegiant conference, but that's the only way I could get there, economically feasible, if you will, cheap. So when you're looking at those connections in Nashville as well, if you've been to the Nashville airport before, you'll come into the terminal, go downstairs, get your bags, go through screening, and come back. But if you have a carry-on, you don't have to do that.
Anything else? Yes, sir.
I just want to say congratulations on all the improvements, and we're heading in the right direction. Good job.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And we're also having a fundraiser for our new playground that we're proposing this Saturday starting at 6, and everyone's more than welcome to come out and make a very large donation.
Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
You'd think he's at church, wouldn't you?
Hey, I saw him earlier do this.
Yeah. Next item.
Proclaim November 14, 2019 as Diabetes Awareness Day. Receiving the proclamation is Merritt Bate-Thomas.
A couple of them can come in and go over there. Commissioner Wathen, is Merritt Bates here? Oh, wait, not yet. We got to read the proclamation.
Can I stand here while you read it?
Yes.
Whereas more than 30.3 million Americans, including over 442,000 Kentuckians, have diabetes, which makes Kentucky the 7th highest in the United States for the prevalence of diabetes. a serious disease that has no cure, and an additional 147,500 adult Kentuckians are estimated to be living with undiagnosed diabetes. And whereas diabetes is the 7th leading cause of death in the United States and in Kentucky, diabetes costs Kentucky over $5 billion in total medical cost, lost work, lost wages each year. And whereas an increase in community awareness of risk factors and symptoms related to diabetes can improve the likelihood that people with diabetes will get the attention they need for developing the disease and its devastating implications. Now, therefore, Daviess County Judge Executive Al Mattingly proclaims November 14th, 2019 as Diabetes Awareness Day.
Let's, commissioners, go down. We'll present it down here, get a picture with Ms. Thomas.
I'd like to thank Fiscal Court for the opportunity to be here tonight, and thank you for the proclamation. I'll keep this brief. My name is Merritt Bate-Thomas. I work with Green River District Health Department and also manage the Daviess County Diabetes Coalition. 1 in 3 people, it's estimated, have pre-diabetes, and 8 out of 9 of those don't know they have it. So one of the key focus efforts we've had over the last several years through billboard campaigns and a variety of means of communicating has been to encourage people to take an online test at doihaveprediabetes.org and also have a conversation with their health care providers. Over the last 3 years, we've tracked our numbers more intensively in Green River District and in particular each of our 7 counties. And the statewide incidence is 12.9% based on the latest statistics through CDC. Our incidence in Green River District is 13.7%, and in Daviess County specifically, it's about 10.9%. But we do attribute some of that, when we first really began looking at those numbers intensively about 3 years ago, we went from 12.8% to last year 17.3% when I was with you all, and down then to 13.7%. That depends a lot on the sampling they do when they call to do the surveying. But also we attribute that slight increase in numbers to greater awareness. As we identify more people, though, the sad part is we are seeing that more people are being identified both with prediabetes and diabetes. The good news is through education, good self-management and monitoring, you can live a quality life and a healthy life. This proclamation will be placing it in our Daviess County Community Health Center in our lobby, so we appreciate this. Thank you all very much.
Well, thank you for what you do and for the health department in particular in providing health care, health services for those who can least afford it. I would say one of the reasons that we have an incidence of diabetes in Daviess County and in the Grad region is poverty. People don't have access to good food, to good health care. They don't, education, those kinds of things. And you think about diabetes, well, if I get it, I can modify my diet or I can take a little insulin shot. People don't realize the other effects: blindness, heart disease, loss of limbs. And it's something that you shouldn't take lightly. So thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. And you touched on 2 key points: the awareness piece, which I addressed, but then the access piece.
Right.
So thank you all.
Commissioners? Okay, next item.
See Treasurer's Report for September 2019.
Mr. Hendricks.
Cash balance at the end of September is $30,812,188, of which the general fund is $10,166,133, At the end of our first quarter of the fiscal year, all funds are performing within anticipated ranges.
Mr. Hendricks, since we have such a captive audience out here and they're all interested in money, would you explain what the difference between what's in our general fund and that $30 million is?
There's a number of funds. We have 13 funds in total. The $30 million is actually just a cash balance. It doesn't mean it's a reserve or anything. There's a bond fund where we service all our debt. That carries a balance right now of about $3.1 million. There's an economic development fund balance that's used for incentives of $1.3 million. At our solid waste operating fund, where the landfill and transfer station, that fund has a $5.6 million balance, and there's two funds that we have to keep in reserve, so when we close the landfill, so we can't use the money for anything else. It's called the closure and the post-closure fund. That's a total of about $7.5 million.
Okay. Lots of times when people hear we've got $30 million, they go, man, you're rich. But that $10 million is about what we have to operate the county day to day, pay our bills and do those kinds of things. So I just wanted to make sure that since I've got a captive audience tonight, that you understood that. Next item, Jenny.
Item 2, consideration for approval, A, minutes of the October 17th, 2019 court meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Again, Commissioners, you've had a copy of the bills due and payable by Davis County Fiscal Court in your possession for some time. Any questions of the treasurer? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, per fee schedule, pay election workers and include payments in the November 21st, 2019 claims.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion, second. Mr. Hendricks.
Yes, gentlemen, as we just had the election and our court meeting, it was too late for us to be able to pay the election workers and have it approved tonight. What we typically do is we'll be able to process those in about 3 or 4 days. So sometime next week we'll be ready to pay. I'd just like you to give us authority to go ahead and make those payments. You approved the fee schedule several years ago, so we know what it is per person. So it's just a matter of us processing who it was, who it gets sent to. And we won't have to make them wait until the next court meeting for approval.
Okay, question or comment?
Will the list still be in the claims next time? Or
Yes,
not?
we will bring them to the claims report next time. Yes, sir.
All right.
Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
D, emergency management grant funding and program guidance.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Jim, did you say you were going to do this?
Yes, sir. This is a contract that we approve annually. It's a federal grant that it's EMPG. It's through emergency management. The $3 million is the total program for all the counties. Basically, what this grant is for is they pay half of the director of EMA and either 1 or 2 more of the employees. We get half their salary. Total grants, I think it caps out at about $46,000 or $48,000. But I've looked at it, it's in order. It's the same one we approved, so I recommend approval.
It pays about half of Andy and Renetta's salary. Those are
Yes.
the two salaries they pay. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
E, memorandum of agreement with the City of Owensboro regarding the 2019 JAG grant.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion, second. Commissioners, all this is a reiteration of a grant that we passed several months ago. The grant was submitted and it was kicked out and sent back to us because the state has changed their procedure and their requirement. We submitted the exact same thing that we've submitted for years. They came back and said they needed something else. So, Claude, you fixed it,
I
and
did, Judge.
and we'll send it back to them.
Actually, we don't have to send it back because of the way we fixed it, but the city's already signed it.
Okay.
Once you approve it tonight, we'll just sign it again and we'll be ready.
What we do is we alternate every other year with the City of Owensboro for these funds, and they're used for law enforcement. So any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
F, resolution 2419, authorizing the NRA Public Range Fund grant application.
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, I don't see Ross here. This is a NRA grant that we've applied for. We can use the money to improve the facilities and purchase equipment. Ross tells me that they will look very favorably upon our application because we are a public range, a government-owned and run range through the Parks Department. The grant is for $25,000. A 50% match would be required. Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
G, contract with Kentucky School Board Association for eMeetings.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, I've heard more about this than I care to talk about. I think a couple of you had some training this afternoon. I think some other folks are going to have training. All this does is it allows us to go paperless. Jenny will start mailing out all our stuff or emailing all the stuff on the little e-books. They're books that you can write on, you can make notes on. Charlie, I think you and I used these at the city there for a while. At least we had the electronic version. I know they had them there.
That would have been the 2 years I was not there.
But you were there after that and they were using them.
I don't remember it, but okay.
That doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I think it's a good thing. I think it'll speed things up, and certainly it will get into your possession the things that you need much earlier. So any question or comment? Jenny, did I cover it all?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hearing no question or comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
H, Kentucky Services Board Public Safety, answering point boundary agreement with Henderson, McLean, Ohio, and Hancock counties.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, I don't see our 911 director here, but what this does basically, it tells the other counties that we're going to answer within our county, and probably if some of our calls get radio waves, no county boundaries. So if it goes to McLean County or it goes to Henderson County, then they will in turn forward it on to us. It's a standard agreement. We've signed it for years. Question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I, Carter Road guardrail repair per Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Master Agreement.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and second. Mark?
Yes, sir. About 2 weeks ago, we came across a section of guardrail on Carter Road that was damaged. I would ask for approval to use a Kentucky Transportation Cabinet Master Agreement to do the repairs for that. Unfortunately, we did look to see if there was a crash report, and there was none, so we will have to use our own money to do the repair.
Let's ask the public, if you see a truck or a car going around with a section of guardrail sticking out of the grill, please notify us. So we're going to have to take $7,000 of the taxpayers' money and pay for the repair. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
J, award bid number 3819 Horse Fork Creek Park Playground System.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, you're aware this is a playground for all. It actually is a playground where folks who need some help, folks who are in wheelchairs, can get on a seesaw, they can get on a merry-go-round, they can get on a swing. This will pretty much complete the investment we made into Horse Fork Creek Park. That investment, originally, we were considering $365,000 for the spray park. This grant's for $75,000 of the $150,000 that the playground will cost. We spent a little under $200,000 for the spray park. By contacting, we had the plumbers and pipe fitters local. They donated labor. Thank you guys very much. We had a lot of donations there. We did a lot of in-kind work. So about $200,000, we saved $165,000. We'll take $75,000 of the $165,000 and pay for this. We still have some work. Commissioner Wathen is the Parks liaison. We still have some work to do to create an expanded area for parents to sit and picnic and do things while their kids are playing in a spray park. Let me tell you something about spray park. It's probably the single most important thing we've done in Parks and Recreation, would you say, George, based on the use?
Based on use.
Based on the use. That park was full all summer long. So I think with this playground for all, that it will increase the use even more. So any question or comment?
Just a
Yes, sir.
couple things. First of all, if I could ask Jordan, I'm just curious when I look at this one, how spread out the bids were. Were these people bid, and you note that there's only one of the bids had exceptions. Do we give them a picture of what we want, or how do they bid this?
Yes, sir. We gave them a desired layout. All the pieces were specified. The range that you're seeing is composition of material and labor for installation.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, I know we've talked about blacktopping that. So
We've decided, I think, Mark, we are not going to blacktop. We're going to concrete there's a handicap section, handicap parking.
Yes, sir.
And then we're going to have a walk so that wheelchairs can easily get from that section to the playground itself and to the spray park itself.
So we'll do just the handicap portion of the park?
Yes,
Okay.
the rest of it will stay. I don't think that part of it was required, but when that land was acquired, we did some mining, and we got a Parks and Recreation grant. We had those parking lots had to be impervious surface, meaning, or is it impervious or the pervious surface, so that when it rained, you didn't get runoff. It soaked into the park. So
Okay.
we continue that on the down side as well. So we won't pave it off. Any other question or comment? I'll tell you, when we vote on, Jordan, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you to do anything, so talk.
Yes, Judge.
I'm so excited. I think Commissioner Watson and I both, because this is a labor out there of love for all those kids in those neighborhoods.
A report on 38/2019, we solicited bids for a qualified supplier to provide and install a playground system defined by our specifications at Horse Fork Creek Park, and received 6 bids ranging from $149,591 to $324,748.22. We are recommending award to the lowest and best evaluated bid of Miracle of Kentucky and Tennessee out of Litchfield, Kentucky, having no exceptions to our bid specifications in the amount of $149,591. And as you mentioned, in relation to this item, we have been awarded the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant to offset 50% of the cost to the court. We have not yet received the contract for this grant, and it will give us appropriate timeframes for installation and expenditure. So I would recommend approval to award Miracle of Kentucky and Tennessee's bid with no action taken on this time until the contract is signed.
And that motion would give me the option or right to sign any and all documents regarding that playground.
Yes.
Correct.
So do you need a new motion?
No, I thought that's what I heard somebody say.
Okay, that works for me.
Okay. Any other question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Jordan, have we used those folks before?
No, they've done several local projects, though.
Okay.
Mother's
And this,
Park included.
the value of this is it includes installation. This is the equipment and installation. Next item.
K, surety bond release for Brownwood Oaks, Section 2, Unit 1.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Mr. County Engineer.
Yes, Judge. Developer has asked for release of surety for some sidewalk in Unit 2, or Section 2, Unit 1. My office has inspected that work, and I do recommend approval.
Question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
L, hire the following engineer department seasonal interns: Alyssa Bickett, effective December 18, Christina Wathen, effective December 9th, and Dylan Payne, effective December 16.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, this is something we do every year. We hire college kids to come out and work and get some experience. I'm not going to tell you they get any learning from the engineer. They just get experience. Any question or comment? Yes,
I
sir.
won't be voting on this one.
Okay. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Commissioner Wathen recused himself. Next item.
M, hire the following road department seasonal interns: Nathan Lanham, effective December 16th, and Warren Gates, effective December 20th.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion second. Sounds like they're interns again. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
N, hire David Wall as a truck driver for the transfer station, contingent upon successful completion of pre-employment screenings.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. This was not a new additional employee. This is a replacement. Is that correct?
It's to replace a retirement.
Okay. Next item.
O, transfer Ryan Payne to transfer station truck driver, effective November 11.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion second. Commissioners, I think this, the next one, Mr. Whitworth, it's just a swap of jobs between those two folks. Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
P, transfer Ron Whitworth to the transfer station solid waste laborer with CDL, effective November 11.
Motion approved. Second.
Any question or comment? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Q, promote Jerry Eddie Reddish to the road department as road foreman.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Do you care to comment about that promotion?
I can. He is
If
replacing.
Eddie was here, I'd comment about it, but I'm not. So, any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Consideration for discussion. A, other business to be brought before the Davis County Fiscal Court.
We have none. Okay. Next item.
B, public comments.
This is time during the meeting in which we invite, or during which we invite the public to come forward to the podium, identify yourself. You're welcome to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda this evening. I see a very large crowd out here. Some of you are here because you thought there was going to be an ordinance voted on tonight regarding non-discrimination with the LGBTQ community. I don't know where that started. It's not true. There is not even an ordinance that has been proposed. If and when that ordinance would occur on the agenda, or be put on the agenda, it'll be in the newspaper, it'll be on TV. I'm sure Pastor Fowler and the group that he represents will let you folks know about it. At the last meeting, Chad Benefield and his group from the LGBTQ committee came and presented some things to us. And in fairness to Pastor Fowler, I invited him to come back and speak to us and deliver. I guess you have a list of things that you would like to talk to. Unlike the lady who was out in the hallway and got very upset when I said she couldn't come in and that we weren't going to allow folks to speak. Yes. Okay. I would like it if Pastor Fowler would come forth and do what we had asked him to do. I personally will stay in this courtroom until 8 o'clock in the morning if you guys want to talk to me, but really there is nothing to talk about because nothing has been proposed yet. You folks, the vast majority of you have been very respectful in sending letters and emails and calling the commissioners, and I appreciate that, and I think that that's what Owensboro and Davis County is all about, and I would respectfully request that you do that, but again, I'll be happy to stay here after the meeting because I've got staff that I need to dismiss at the end of the meeting, and I will listen to each and every one of you. Be happy to do that. Pastor Fowler, would you come up and I think you've got something if you would like to give that to us before, and then you're welcome to go, and I'll pass that out.
And I can assure you it's not our desire to keep you here till 8 o'clock. At least the group.
Well, I thank you for that.
The group that I represent,
Yeah.
that's not our
Yeah.
goal. I just simply want to read this statement. Before I do, and I didn't know Chad wouldn't be here, but I just think it's really important for the community to know who we are. That, first of all, I'm John Fowler. I'm a pastor here in Owensboro. Have been here for 24 years. Several of the people in our group have spent time talking to Chad Benefield and another member of the Human Relations Commission. And we've had really good conversations. We've had polite, civil, good, healthy conversations. And I believe if Chad and I talked for an hour yesterday, and I think if he was here, he would say we both walked away knowing we had disagreements over some things, but that we respected and honored each other as we had conversation. And we hope to continue to have conversations, even though we know there's disagreements. That said, our response that I'll be giving tonight is based on, Chad actually, after the last meeting, sent me a copy of the Georgetown ordinance that was passed, and said that the Davis County one that he's looking to do would be based on that. It wouldn't be exactly probably, but close to it. So our concerns are based on us studying that particular ordinance. Okay, so we're aware maybe things aren't going to be exactly the same, but this is what we have to share. The recent proposal of a fairness ordinance for Davis County has created much concern among Christians, religious leaders, and business owners in the county. Our desire is not to unnecessarily offend nor instruct others how to behave in their private lives. In an effort to follow Christ, we aim to love our neighbors, even those with whom we deeply disagree. Oppression, hate, and divisiveness should be avoided by all parties in this discussion. However, in light of the proposed ordinance, we would suggest that for the following reasons, this ordinance is unnecessary and subversive to the principles of liberty and could potentially contribute to promote conflicts and division in our community. Reason 1, the legislation is unnecessary. Laws of any sort should only be proposed on sufficient grounds, proving their necessity for liberty and justice or some measure thereof. Citizens should not be encumbered by laws for the sake of ensuring freedom from offense or discomfort. The push for sexual orientation and gender identity laws seems to suffer from a lack of necessity. We have these questions. Legitimately, we ask these questions. What documented cases are there of otherwise well-qualified homosexuals denied employment or fired based solely on their sexuality? Are homosexual individuals or couples suffering from the inability to find housing in our city or being forced to pay above market rates to maintain adequate shelter? Does Davis County have any public accommodations that openly ban homosexuals from their premises or prevent them from receiving service? Reason 2, liberty supersedes fairness. A founding principle of our country is the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Liberty, by its very nature, is not compatible with coercion, and as a general rule, laws are enacted to prevent loss of our fundamental rights. The First Amendment right to freedom of religion should be upheld at all costs, unless such freedom results in the loss of life or liberty to another. This fundamental right must never be sacrificed on the altar of fairness, niceness, or preventing hurt feelings. As John Adams said, liberty must at all hazards be supported. We have a right to it, derived from our Maker. Despite the protests of the Fairness Ordinance advocates, this legislation poses a threat to religious liberty and freedom of conscience, as demonstrated by the innumerable lawsuits resulting from such legislation. Baker versus Hands-On Originals, Klein versus Oregon Bureau of Labor and Industries, Elaine Photography versus Wilcox, etc. Reason 3, the Fairness Ordinance creates moral and religious coercion. The proposed Fairness Ordinance, with its language regarding public accommodations, will inevitably lead to moral and religious coercion. Certain forms of service offered by businesses, individuals, or religious institutions can make such persons offering these services complicit in behavior they find morally objectionable. If they are compelled by law to engage in services which cause a tacit endorsement of morally objectionable behavior, their religious liberty has been compromised. As mentioned above, religious liberty should never be violated to avoid hurt feelings or embarrassment. A counterexample will suffice to make the point. If a gay individual in our community owned an internet marketing company, they should have the right to refuse service to an openly anti-LGBTQ religious institution who wants to create an anti-LGBTQ marketing campaign. This gay individual, by providing this service, would be complicit in actions he or she would deem morally objectionable. This freedom of conscience should be upheld at all costs. This Fairness Ordinance would allow moral and religious coercion, a much grosser injustice than limited cases of perceived unfairness. Reason 4, the threat of frivolous and burdensome lawsuits. The final reason for objection is the potential threat and liability of frivolous lawsuits incurred by businesses. While the Fairness Ordinance makes provisions to eliminate such lawsuits and allows owners to be protected from acting against conscience, the ordinance places the burden of proof upon the business owner to defend his or her position. Such language creates a guilty until proven innocent burden upon businesses. The Lexington Company, Kentucky company, Hands On Originals, was embroiled in a lawsuit for 5 years, spending untold amounts of money defending their right to decline a service that made them complicit in supporting a message they disagreed with. A fairness ordinance made this lawsuit possible. The local businesses of our community do not need additional risk and burdens as they seek to provide jobs, goods, and services. We appreciate your careful consideration going forward of these reasons for avoiding this potentially harmful piece of legislation. We desire no ill will toward our neighbors, but realize fundamental disagreement on this issue will create strong emotions. However, we are convinced the cause of liberty, pursued in a spirit of charity, is a cause that must be defended. For the good of our community and the fundamental rights of our citizens, we request this legislation not even be considered. That's the end of our document. And before I take a seat, I would just like to make one sentence statement. This is from me personally. And I guess I should have said this ahead of time. I speak for a coalition of pastors who've gathered to make this document together. You have a list of who they are. But if someone asked me to, because at the core of this, I think there's a difference on the definition of discrimination. And if I was to define discrimination, I would say if someone refuses any service to another out of anger, ignorance, arrogance, hatred, or vengeance, that is discrimination. But if someone withholds service to another out of a sincere religious conscience, that is religious liberty. And religious liberty must be protected.
Okay, thank you. As I did last time, Pastor, thank you for bringing these. I appreciate it. As I did last time after the LGBT community spoke, I allowed Pastor Fowler to speak. Is there anyone here from the LGBT community that would like to speak? Could I ask all those who are opposed to the fairness ordinance, would you stand? Message received. Thank you very much. I'm trying to see, did I see Paul Winkler come in? Paul, you really have changed. You don't look anything like your daddy. Do I? Why didn't you come up and give me a hug, Bubba? Oh, well, we can shake hands after this is over. We spent a lot of time doing some plumbing, crawling under a lot of houses, didn't we? Okay. Commissioners, any of you like to comment?
The only thing I would say is if anyone chooses to stay, and the judge said he would be willing to stay late, and I would as well. So that I just want to go on record.
Well, some of us can't, some of them can't because they've got other things that they have to do. But I would just say this, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being, how do I want to say this, nice. Because lots of times I've seen some of these things in other cities, they're not nice. As a matter of fact, if all the folks who believed as you did were as nice as you, I wouldn't have had to write some nasty letters back to a few of them. And you know that what I'm saying is right. Some of them get a little over the top. The four of us are sitting up here just trying to do what we believe is best for the community. I had one person say 4 men are going to decide for the entire community. Well, that's what you elected us for. That's what I spent a lot of time in the military fighting for, so that we would, oh, by the way, military veterans. I know I've got one out there. With the fellows that served in the military, please stand up. Come on, guys. Ladies, I would be remiss if I didn't say, do I have any ladies out there who served in the military? Because a lot of them did. Okay. Again, thank you all for coming. Jenny, next item.
C, comments by Davis Fiscal Court.
Commissioner who's got that phone going back there? Yeah. Yes, you go ahead, Clark. Thank you. Commissioner Koger.
Pass.
Commissioner Wathen.
I just want to mention, we've had a lot of emails.
Somebody turn that phone off, please.
We've had a lot of emails, a lot of letters, a lot of phone calls, and I tried to keep up with them. I think altogether it was 167 contacts that I had, and I think that's enough. If you understand what I mean, if you want to continue, if people want to continue that, that's great. It is good to hear from people. It's important that we hear from people. There was some things in a lot of those emails and letters that I had never thought of, and so I really appreciated the comments. I read every one of them. I tried to send a comment back, but I just want to thank everybody for their participation. It's important to me that when we have an important issue, that we hear from the people. If we don't, we don't know. Right. So it's important, and I just thank everybody for their participation.
Okay. Commissioner Castlen.
And I too would like to just say I've received quite a few contacts from different individuals. I'm sure most of you in this room. And for the most part, I've just been saying thank you for taking time to share your thoughts with me. And that's what I would say tonight as well. And I would also thank you for being civil as we have this debate.
Same goes for me. I hope I've answered everybody. I may have missed one or two. If you left me a phone number and requested a call back, I called you back. If you said no, you didn't want anything, that's fine. I didn't do anything. If you emailed me, I would email you back. I think it's important that we, as your elected representatives, respond to you in the manner that you want. So what I want to talk about tonight is Daviess County Fiscal Court. We were at a state meeting, state CACO meeting. We were awarded the Spirit of Kentucky Award. And what the Spirit... And what that award does is the state will pick a community that best illustrates cooperation, working together with people. And we were chosen because of the Friendly Village sewer project and the Cedar Hill sewer project, where 125 and 67 folks, 192 folks were going to lose their homes if somebody didn't step in and help them. Claude is gone. Claude Porter, our county attorney, intervened with the Public Service Commission and the courts, RWRA. They get a bad rap every now and then. I wish Joe was here so I could give him a bad rap. But those guys stepped up to the plate, and we celebrated a ribbon cutting last week out at Friendly Village. We believe that we will celebrate a ribbon cutting about 6 months early out at Cedar Hills. Once we get that one taken care of, Fiscal Court guaranteed those sewage systems. We said if they fail, we'll step in and take care of it. We got one out of the way, and we have the other one. So this is the 2019 Spirit of Kentucky Award, Friendly Village and Cedar Hills Sewer Project. Commissioners, thank you for all the hard work that you went through. My staff, in particular David Smith, for everything that he did to make this possible, and I know the citizens thank them as well. I received some pictures about downtown and the kind of, the bump outs that they put on the streets where old people like me, when I go down through there, I run over them, I break up a tire, I lose a hubcap. Apparently this guy did too, because he's mad. Is the city, is Kevin still here? Kevin, I'm going to give these pictures to you so that you can answer this dude. I just wanted to show him that we really have no control over what's done downtown. And actually, Kevin, our city engineer, is here. Kevin didn't have any control over what was going on downtown either. I think our downtown is beautiful. I think it's doing the job that it was designed to do. It's attracting tourists into this community. When tourists come, they spend their dollars, and we like their dollars. The same fellow didn't like the fact that chicken litter was being spread on the fields. And again, I don't know what we can do about that. That is more the Commissioner of Agriculture. I invited him to talk to him about that. But, you know, they didn't have chicken litter when I was a boy out at Thurston. They just had cow manure. I know, I feel his pain and I smell his pain as well. Once again, thanks all of you for coming. If there is no other business to be brought before Davis County Fiscal Court, without exception, we're adjourned.